So satsang is an event like this, but it's also really our life, our whole life. Our life is where we get to apply what we're seeing, what we're understanding, what we're having revealed to us in our inquiry, our meditation, our contemplation. And our life is where we perhaps we might start the spiritual search, feeling that those are two different places, our life and then our spiritual search. And more we're going to find that they start to do this, that if either one of these is out of balance, they both seem to be out of balance. So life is going to ask us to apply what comes up, what we've seen in our inquiry and our meditation. Our spiritual practice is, of course, good, and we do need to do it. But the real practice is where we apply that in our life, in our finances, our relationships, our career, in the normal daily, day-to-day things that we do as human beings. And for me, there were many places in my life where I had to really reach deeper inside myself to be able to find the desire, the willingness to apply what I was seeing. Some places it would be easier to believe myself to be a separate being and that there was another being that I was having a challenge with. Easier, but not better, certainly more painful to stay. Easier because of the habit of momentum of staying in the illusion. So I just wanted to say that because we all have these areas of our life where we might find it very, very challenging to apply what we're seeing. And that might be into two particular areas. So how do we find that courage to apply the recognition that we're just one being here, experiencing itself through many bodies? How do we find that willingness when we seem to be having a problem with another being, a being who seems to be outside of us? What is it that calls us to remember what we have seen in our inquiry, in our practice, in those particular moments where life is challenging or outright difficult? What can we reach for inside that is going to spur us to actually try to remember? And that is our devotion to truth. It might sound obvious, but the more we have fueled this desire to recognize and live as the truth, the easier it's going to be in those moments to want to apply the truth. So you're having an argument with another being, and that might be for me with another being that I didn't get on with, that I had a real challenge having any civil conversation at all. It also was the other way around, where it was beings that were very, very close to me, like my own children, my sibling and my parents, as I'm sure it is for everyone. So what do we do then when we're having those challenges in our life? Because we all have them, and this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we get to actually live what we're seeing or not. Whether we stay stuck in some kind of illusion, trying to fix a problem that does not exist because it's a problem that I have with another being. Even to say, how do I remember my oneness when it comes to these other beings? Again, it's not really a problem that we can solve or need to. I just wanted to try to give some encouragement here, because we are human beings with human lives. The one self showing up as a human being, the one universal, omnipresent self showing up as you, as your life, as your challenges, as your awakening. And there's times when it's challenging to apply that, the times when we're going to feel most separate, most isolated, most cut off from the help that we need. But is that ever really true? And can we cultivate a desire inside even deeper to recognize the truth? Most people that I come across, and it was the same for myself, are absolutely convinced that their devotion to the truth, to waking up fully in this lifetime, isn't all it should be or needs to be. And that they are lacking in their capacity or strength of that devotion to truth, especially when some outside problem, seemingly outside, like a challenge at work or a challenge in a relationship or with our children, when that comes up, we might feel that that is pulling us away from our spiritual practice. But what if that is the spiritual practice? What if our meditation and our inquiry, etc., is preparation to make sure that when it comes to applying, we're in the best possible situation to actually be able to apply it? To remember in that moment, this being is me. Actually, I'm looking at myself, I'm talking to myself, or this thing that I want or need out there, or the thing that I want or need to get rid of from inside, some emotion, some fear, or whatever that is going to, am I going to remember that it is also what I am? Can I get rid of something that is my own self? Can I, can I actually accept and receive something, or even allow it to come to me if it is my own self already? So whatever field of human endeavor we're involved in, or whatever we find ourselves each day, that is really where the practice gets applied. I've met a lot of people, myself included, back in the day, who knew a lot about non-duality. But there was such a discord between what I knew inside me and how my life was actually playing out. And eventually got so uncomfortable, life kind of pushed me into having to apply this. And most people I meet these days are so different to that. Most people I'm talking to, they're already really trying to apply the truth to their life. They might just need a little guidance on how to do that. It's a very rare being. And I know you probably won't think you are one of these as I say this, but I have to tell you that you're very wrong. A very rare being that would actually immediately want to apply what they've seen to be true. There was a gap for me between recognizing something and the willingness to actually then go and take it into my life. I'm saying that to kind of bust through this idea, smash this idea that your devotion to truth isn't enough. I mean, you're here, right? You showed up for satsang when there was a lot of other things you could be doing. Maybe it's one of those satsangs that saves your life because you're in a lot of fear or whatever is going on, and you just need to be in satsang here and taking refuge here. But even if that's the case, it doesn't mean that you are less than or lacking in the devotion. By the time you end up listening to words like this anyway, you are so far down the path that nothing could stop it. The imaginary path, you know, the one that the mind takes and not us. And there's only one conclusion here from this point. Awakening is just continuing to deepen as your experience. And don't judge your progress by the few sticky areas or many sticky areas in your life where it's really just very challenging to apply this. Our progress we can assess by our willingness. So in that moment, some emotion comes up. You're having an argument with someone, and this emotion comes up, and this, oh no, not this again, arises inside. Why is this happening again? Can you do anything about that in that moment? No, absolutely not. What can you do? You can use that moment. If you get lost in the thoughts and the emotion, then you have a little vacation from truth. You go visit illusion again, then eventually at whatever point you come back. What can you use that for? What's the best way to use that? For me, it was ultimately the recognition this is one less time till this never happens again. And I would use it to light an even greater fire inside, as if each time I got lost in illusion again, the same old thing again, instead of blaming myself, eventually I realized that that wasn't helping. It was like it was wood for the fire. This is one last time I'm going to explode out of anger. And it might seem strange to imagine me exploding in anger, but I did. And I cried with despair, and I felt desperately unworthy and totally alone. Just like you, there's no difference. We all go through the same process. Desperately alone for, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years. I was angry for a good solid 10 years as well before that. And then the anger ran itself out and replaced with jealousy of all the saints and sages that had achieved what I was trying to do, embarrassment and utter shame that I even thought I could or even should pursue awakening. And it was my dirty little secret. I wouldn't tell anyone because I was just so embarrassed. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because I want you to know that what you're going through right now is the process. It's not something you're doing wrong. It is not an easy thing to awaken to the truth. To see the truth, it's perhaps relatively easy, but to apply it consistently to your life and allow it to transform your whole existence, that's not the easiest. So you're only responsible for the willingness to do that, to apply it. Not the actual applying, that will happen by itself. You're only responsible for the desire to live from truth, and you already have that. And I want you to recognize that or at least try to recognize that your devotion to truth is way stronger than you might give yourself credit for. You can't judge your devotion to truth based on how many times you get lost in illusion. You can judge it by how many times you come back and try again and again and again. That's what's important. You are going to wander off with some thought pattern, some emotion, some situation, some experience into illusion. But here you are still keeping on. I'm saying this because most of this week, things I've been hearing and talking to people about are always this same theme. And that is that we're questioning our love of truth. We're questioning whether it's strong enough. Am I going to make it if I'm not even devoted enough? And you are already devoted enough. What if your situation is much different than you think? What if it's not an if you're going to make it, but only how fast you're going to allow the unfolding of what's already occurring? The infinite, absolute reality that you are, that is omnipresent, omniscient, cannot be stopped in any way by anything, least of all illusion, which is also made out of truth, by the way. Reality appearing as illusion is still reality. Got a lot easier when I realized that. Didn't fight with it so much. You know, look, it's showing up as illusion again. So perhaps take another look at yourself with a fresh seeing, a willingness to look at yourself and recognize just how utterly devoted you are compared to what you think. You know, time and time again, I see the same faces here on Satsang and in classes. Same people showing up again and again and again. And in doing this most noble of human endeavors, it doesn't get any bigger than this, the realization of the truth of who you are. There's nothing you could do, your body could do in the whole universe that equates to this. I mean, this is where the sages hang out. This is where you're living more and more each day. I could go on for another hour trying to emphasize my point, but hopefully you get it. Hopefully you're willing to see that by the time you end up here, there is nothing lacking in your commitment to truth. In fact, sometimes I end up having to tell people to take some time off, like go watch some Netflix. That's your practice tonight. Find a funny movie and relax, or something like that. You are infinite. You are the one being showing up looking like a human being, trying to recognize who you really are. That means that anytime you do anything at all, when you sit down to meditate, when you ask a self-inquiry question, when you put the kettle on for a cup of tea, when you go to work, and you pick the kids up, you are the entire universe moving at once. It's not like there's all these little beings everywhere and everyone's doing their own thing and somehow we all come together and it works. You are literally the whole universe moving as one. Nobody has ever made an independent action, spoken an independent word, or had an independent thought. You are the universe expressing itself. You are the wholeness and the totality appearing as you, not like loads of little beings. You are all of this appearing as you. You are truth, desiring to recognize its own nature. How can you fail then? You've never made an independent action. You can't choose an action that is outside of what the rest of the universe is doing. I mean, it's like the ocean thinking that one wave can do something independent of the rest of the entire ocean. It's just simply not possible. I would like to really, I'm going to get really animated, start talking a lot with my hands. So I would like you to think about what that means. You've never done anything, any action or any activity, spoken any word or thought, any thought, even taken a breath. Like if I choose to put my hand up now like this, the whole universe decided that. I couldn't have done that as a separate being. The enormity of that really hit me. Like every action, every word, every thought every desire, every intention, every breath, every cough, every sneeze, and other bodily functions we won't go into. You know, they are all the universe moving as one. The mind hates that because it wants to be independent. It wants to be make its own decisions and choose its own choices. But if you look the other side of that, if you are the cosmos itself, choosing to go and make a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, driving to pick the kids up or going to work, or trying to realize the truth of your being, or trying to live as that truth, can you still feel the same way? Can you still imagine that you could feel? You are the universe, the cosmos, with all of its resources and the infinite power of the source, the truth, reality, the absolute reality. And you never could divide yourself into parts, ever. It's just never happened. You see someone walking across the street, that is the universe deciding that's what's going to happen. Not deciding in the way the mind decides, but no human being has ever made an independent action separate to everyone else. You cannot get outside of yourself. So I'm saying this to try to emphasize that there is no way to fail at awakening. When the cosmos appearing as you decides it's going to recognize where it came from, what's going to stop it? I hope that helps you to relax, maybe enjoy it a little bit more. And from the perspective of the cosmos, it does not matter whether you apply this recognition in the next time, as soon as Satsang is finished, to some area of your life, or if it takes another 5 years. Of course, we would rather it be sooner so that we're not suffering, but if not this body, then the next one. But let's do it. Let's do it now. Let's recognize who we are now. Let's stop imagining ourselves to be small beings, limited and lost and trying to find our way home.